Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Today's video will have to do with stupidity, ignorance and hatred that overshadows people's minds, thoughts, reason and heart. And I will use as a context decision of some countries to demolish Soviet era monuments. They were built to glorify the victory of Soviet Union, which was considered a good country at that time, against the evil Nazi Germany, which was considered the evil country at that time. And I will use in this case examples from various countries in Europe who decided to do this, which is demolish these monuments of these fallen Soviet soldiers. Now, let's start with the beginning. Courage is a universal and it's a neutral word. A thief could employ courage or show courage. An angel can show courage. They don't own the notion of courage. The courage is just a behavior that is done by someone. That person could be whatever, whomever. Even a dog can show courage. There are coward dogs and there are courageous dogs. So the same thing with man. You can say the Huns were courageous, but they were bad dudes. And you can say the French were courageous and they were the good dudes. Not always. Now, the same here. The Soviet soldiers, which I have to remind these countries that decided to do what they do, was not made out of Russians only. They were made out of many, many, many nationalities and nations in the Soviet Union. So when you demolish a monument of the Soviet Union, you don't hurt and you don't take a dump on the Russians, as they try to do by doing what they're doing. But there were many other nations incorporated willingly and unwillingly, not willingly, in the Soviet Union. If you go by that, you will have to demolish each and every monument, maybe up to Jesus Christ. So I will start with this. Courage, as I said, as it is, Soviet Union, it's not Russia, was not Russia. Now let's go and enumerate all these countries and all the examples of this, I would say, ignorant, full of hatred and stupid people. Stupidity is not the same with ignorance. So let's say I saw many articles talking about this kind of activities where there are countries, usually the same countries, the Baltic states and Poland, and I saw dismantling Soviet military monuments. And that's been happening since March 2022. And I was thinking, I will make a video on this, but I don't find maybe the right, the right mood to do it. Because when I make videos, it is like writing poetry or painting. You have to be in a certain mood to make a video about something. You can't just make a video about anything, and you have to feel about the subject. You have to have something that gets you going. So in this case, I didn't really have it, or I had it, but I had other subjects. So let's go back to the subject of dismantling the Soviet military monuments. This article that triggered me today is from August 28, 2022, and it's from Market Watch. Estonian, it's a Baltic state, government dismantling Soviet military monument near border as threat to public order. So when I used to be younger, you had bullies in schoolyard, and if you were playing soccer over there, or whatever you're playing, tennis, whatever you were playing, these bullies would come and they want to beat you, basically, or take something from you. So in order to do that, they had to just provide, sometimes with a reason. And the reason was, hey, do you think you're tough? Or, hey, what are you looking at me? Oh, you gave me a look, man. Why do you give me that look? And you can say, no, I'm not tough. No, I didn't give you a look. It didn't matter. He already told you that's the reason why, because of you, he's going to kick your butt. So the same here. These guys can say whatever they want when they do something. It doesn't have to be logical, doesn't have to be backed by evidence or overwhelming evidence, because something can be based on evidence, but it has to be overwhelming in order to act. It's like, for instance, you have a car every day hitting, let's say, a pedestrian. Are you going to ban cars? Well, you're going to have to look at the frequency. How many were killed, how many cars, how many pedestrians, and you're going to find out that that incident occurs like this. There is an incident, there is a subject, there is a reason, but the reason is not overwhelming. If that would happen 90% of the times, yeah, probably you should really act for, making some adjustments. So the same here. Estonia government dismantling Soviet military monument near its border as threat to public order. What did I tell you? Hey, you think you're tough? That's the reason. Could threat to public order. Well, and I'm quoting. Remember, words have meanings, and you have to look at each and every word and analyze it to see how stupid it is sometimes. This. I'm quoting. No one, remember, no one wants to see our militant and hostile neighbor foment tensions in our home. Kaya, Prime Minister Kallas, said, we will not afford Russia the opportunity to use the past to disturb the peace in Estonia. So let's analyze her. I would say this is a very low IQ and weasel-like statement. So no one wants. If no one wants, then why are you say we will not afford Russia the opportunity to use the past to disturb the peace? You can ignore it. And then how do you know no one? If no one wants, maybe there are some who want. How do you know that? That's the first one. And then to see our militant and hostile neighbor foment tensions in our home. How would they foment tensions with the military monuments? That means there are some supporters and they foment tensions. So that it's not true that no one. So there are some. And then we have we will not afford. Who's we? Is we the people or we the government, the guys who decide? So to disturb, that means there are some people who disturb something. So it's not no one. It's not like, oh my God, I see that, I'm so disturbed. How many of you walked by a military cemetery to get disturbed? Let's say a year, 2 times, unless you work and you live somewhere where every day you have to go through that. Maybe it happens 2 times a year. Are you disturbed? Okay, and even if why are you disturbed? She conflates here the Russians with the Soviets. Ignorant. You can say, well, actually Estonia and Lithuania and Latvia do not have a good history with Russia. Okay, again, Russia is not Soviet Union. Soviet Union is not Russia. However you want to turn it, you can say it was the main thing. It was, but it was not the same thing. It was not. Russia equates Soviet Union. Now, I'm going to go and read to you and enumerate all the monuments these smart people destroyed. And I'm not, trying to be like, oh my God, you should not do that. I think that's stupid. I think that's wrong. But let's see. We have in Poland, we have in Latvia, we have in Kiev, we have in Lithuania. So let's go and I'm going to read them to you. The monument of the liberators of Riga was demolished in Latvia on August 25. A monument to Red Army soldiers was dismantled in Kryzowice, Poland on March 23. A Red Army monument being removed in Sielce, Poland in April 20. Happy birthday. A monument to Soviet soldiers was dismantled in Marijampolė, Lithuania on April 22. A sculpture titled Soldier was removed from the Soviet cemetery in the Lithuanian city of Kaunas on April 26. A monument to Red Army soldiers was dismantled in Latvian village of Madliena on April 26. A monument to Red Army soldiers, that's the one, a sculpture of Soviet soldiers located in the Kėdainiai cemetery in Lithuania was dismantled on April 27th. A Soviet obelisk was dismantled in the Lithuanian city of Palanga on May 19th. A monument to Soviet soldiers in the city of Mekine, Lithuania was demolished on May 28th. The monument to Soviet soldiers liberators in Lithuania city of Klaipėda was dismantled on July 5. The monument to the builders of the Narva power plant in Estonia was torn down on August 7. Finnish officials moved to dismantle the World Peace sculpture in Helsinki, which has been donated by the city of Moscow in 1990 on August 8. A monument to Soviet Army officer Igor Grafov was dismantled in Narva, Estonia in August 16. A monument to Soviet Army Narva is located along the border with Russia and is home to many ethnic Russians. Do you think that would anger them? If you have something with the Russians, you conflate the Russians with Soviet, do you think that would help? Or you just foment problems? The Russians will come and invade you too then, because you are going to kill those Russians, like the Ukrainians did? So memorial plaques were removed from Petrovskaja Square in Narva, Estonia on August 16. On August 16. Is that 16? Is that what it is? Good? An obelisk on August 16, an Red Army obelisk in Narva Castle Park was dismantled. The Three Bayonets monument was dismantled in Narva, Estonia on August 16. A T-34 tank was dismantled in Narva, Estonia on August 16. How do you call these guys? They're all Soviet, they're not Russian. Now you can say, well, the Russians took the Baltic states after, the Second World War, after they gained independence. So let's see who are the Baltic states. The Baltic states came to refer to countries of Baltic state that have gained independence from the Russian Empire. You say, oh, Russian Empire. Okay, when did they get independence of the Russian Empire? In 1918, right? So the terms include Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, and originally also included Finland. Now we go here and say the three states' territory was first time included in the same political entity when the Russian Empire expanded in 18th century. Estonia was, and most of Latvia was ceded, given by Sweden. So before the Russian Empire took them, or gained them, received them, Estonia was under the Swedish domination. So you have a problem now with Sweden too? Latvia, you should have a problem with Sweden because they had you before. They raped you all the time. They used you, and then they gave you to Russia, right? And after the Great Northern War of 1721. So you belong to someone. So you were not independent then. You should have a problem with that. And then it says here that then we find out that most of the territory of what is now Lithuania came under Russian rule after the third partition of Poland, 1795. So you belong to Poland. You can say, well, it was the Lithuanian Polish kingdom and whatever, ducat, I don't know how you call it, but like a duke. Anyway, you were, but you were taken from Poland. Why did they mention Poland here? And in 1795, Poland ceased to exist until the First World War ended. No country. So you belonged to Poland, Lithuania, part of Lithuania. Estonia belonged to Sweden before they got to Russia. It says when Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania gained their sovereignty, which was after the First World War, the three countries were independent until the outbreak of the Second World War in 1940. All countries were invaded, occupied, and annexed by the Stalinist Soviet Union. In 1941, followed the invasion of occupation of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia by Nazi, before the Red Army reinvaded in 1944-45, and the Soviet was able to regain control of the three countries until 1991. So the Germans got you from the Soviets, so you should be very upset about it. More upset than the Soviets taking you from the Nazis. Or unless you say it was okay being under Nazi rule. Which one is it? So the Soviets could say, well, if we wouldn't have taken you from the Germans, you would have been under Nazi rule. Do you prefer that? Or do you prefer still being under the Swedish rule? Or maybe under the Polish rule? So you were by many, not only Russia. And all those countries, if you want to look at them, are not really, beautiful country or been beautiful country, because there's no pure country. There's no pure country. Unless you are a very small country and you have no this, and then everybody rapes you. Sounds familiar? So I think it's stupid what these guys are doing. I think it's ignorant, and I think it's full of hatred and political, I might add. So I'm not, it's your country, do whatever you want, obviously. But did you hear that under what terms they do it? Because no one wants to, is to foment this and foment that. So I suggest you demolish anything that belongs to the Poles, Swedes, Germans, because that's the way things go, right? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.